There's nothing I love more than speaking about this work that came out of my own life experience. And I would like you to know exactly who I am and where this work comes from. And in order to do that, I have to share a little bit of my childhood with you. I was one of 6 girls, and we were all battered children. So I not only received the violence, but I was also witness to violence. My father was he was a rageaholic. So that's how I grew up. Now, we all think we're on this purposeful journey, we're making plans, we're taking courses, we're doing whatever we were doing in our lives, but I found that life unfolds in a very organic way. So if you fast forward from my childhood to my early 20s, suddenly I am absolutely fascinated by martial arts. I can't get enough. And of course, it's obvious now, but some part of me wanted to learn how to stand up and fight back, yeah? So there I am studying martial arts. And I'm working with girls and I'm working with women, and I'm teaching a self-defense class out of my basement in 1976, and I'm just thinking, this is the cat's meow, this is that, oh God, that so dates me, it's so funny. This is really a great thing that I'm doing. And then I started to listen to the stories, and I found that the adult women had too many stories, and all of them happened when they were children and youth. So I started to get this sense that I don't want to work in the aftermath of violence, I want to work in prevention. And I created this skill, and I created it out of my own life experience. I began to walk by construction sites in the summer, and I would change clothes. I was in my early 20s, and I was just wearing mini skirts or, coveralls, or I would just wear all sorts of different outfits to see if I would get sexually harassed more or less. And out of that experience, I began to find things that worked, and I began to take that into my life, in my personal, interpersonal relationships, into being on the street, into being in the workplace, into everywhere. And I created a model, and this model is now reached international proportions. We've touched 5 continents with the work. The work is called Safeteen. We just are in the process of launching Safe Kids, so we're reaching the grade 1, 2s, and 3s, school-based program, and we go into the high schools. We are actually brought in by the district in most cases, or individually to the individual schools. We reach 25,000 youth a year now, just in the Lower Mainland. Woo. And I train internationally. What I want is to build capacity. That's what I'm all about. So this work called Safeteen, Safe Kids, Safe Campus, and we work with a full range of people. Yes, so I call this journey the transmutation of suffering into healing. So I know we can take the childhood wounds, we can take all the wounds, and we can transmute them. It's different from transform. We can transmute them into a healing force, a powerful force that can go out and reach so many other people. To transmute means to change something so deeply that it's actually not fueled anymore by the original form. When a caterpillar goes into a cocoon, we know it turns into a butterfly, but what many people don't know is that the caterpillar disintegrates in there, including its DNA. So when the butterfly comes out, there is no DNA connection between the butterfly and the caterpillar, and I just find that mind-blowing. And this is the word that I like to use. So that's how the work began, and this is me standing here 40 years later, and I am still on fire about this work. I want to segue a little bit about what you're speaking about bullying, because that's a huge part of the work we do. We have a team of agents for change. We have a girls program and a boys program. And working with boys is the most crucial thing that I believe we can be doing on the planet right now. We have an uprising of work for women, and we still need more. It's not done. And yet, if we don't work with both, we're not going to get where we need to go. So the boys program is a work of art. That's all I can say about it. There's a team of young men that go out there and they engage the boys in the classroom, elementary and secondary, and now we're going to be engaging the safe kids, the really little kids. And we are giving them this choice, we call it the power of choice. They get to choose what kind of man that they're going to be. I'd like to talk more about the boys program, but I want to get a little bit more focused. Bullying. If we're going to erase bullying, if we're going to stop bullying, we need to start with the bully within. That's where it has to start. Because bullies pass on, and then we pass on, and we get it from our teachers and our parents, and it's passed on. So we have to work with our own inner bully. So I want to talk about core. I want to speak to the core. Core, center, essence. The essential part of who we are. We can have our core stolen, child abuse, sexual abuse, battering. People can actually steal pieces of our core. Our core self can be eroded. We can give it away when we cross our own boundaries, when we say yes to things, whether it's an errand or, yes, you can be in my body. We cross our own boundaries, we damage our own core. And our core can be eroded. The fact that we live in a patriarchy, and I'm going to say that again because it seems like this invisible thing nobody talks about. I feel like in that old tale, the emperor who wears no clothes. Am I the only person that sees that we're living in a patriarchy? It feels like that sometimes. So if you're a female being and you're born into a patriarchy, your core self is already at risk because we live in a male-centered world. We are left out of his story. We are erased, made invisible. Young girls growing up, they crave being seen. And this connects to bullying as well. Sexual harassment becomes the way that girls get addicted to the male gaze so that they can be seen, because otherwise they feel invisible. And to feel invisible can make us feel this existential terror, so that any boyfriend is better than no boyfriend at all, and they'll do whatever it takes to keep that guy. This state that girls and women are in, and it's been going on forever, and it's glossed over or not spoken to as directly as I need it to and want it to be spoken to. How do we support the core self of our girls? How do we do that? Well, we can. And we can cultivate it, we can nurture it, we can feed it. One of the ways that I can cultivate my core is by speaking my truth, by holding to my values, even if it's not welcomed or different from what other people want me to say or are saying. So I can cultivate and strengthen my core by speaking my truth, by standing up for myself, by standing up for others, by doing the work that I do. I can also protect my core, and self-care is a huge part of our lives and very necessary. And that can look like having a glass of wine with a girlfriend in the middle of the day. Like, it's not all yoga and meditation, okay? Self-care is also about fun and play and joy. So if we have this idea of core, we have this idea of self-esteem, that self-esteem thing that's so hard to even pin, like, what is it? Who has it? Does she really have it? Or is she just faking it? I want to get me some of that. Where do I go get me some of that? Self-esteem, it's such a difficult, especially for children and youth, to understand. So we have this image of core. If you want to, you can take a moment and imagine. Close your eyes and imagine, what would my core look like? So as a metaphor, what would it look like? One 14-year-old girl said, my core is a piece of coal, and when I nurture it and cultivate it, it turns into a diamond. When I don't feed it and I don't cultivate it, it gets so small it almost disappears. But I want you to know something about core. It's like a life wants to live kind of thing. It's tenacious. It's like that little green shoot growing up out of the sidewalk. And we can do this for each other. We can do this for our children. And in the Safeteen program, we have a very concrete, very specific role plays and concepts that help the children and the youth actually connect with this concept and move through their lives from this place of strength, inside strength, so that when they're disappeared out there, when they're, cyberbullied to the point where they're cut from tribe, our most primal human need, all of us, is connection. Connection to tribe. When those young people are cut from tribe, they're left out, they're excluded, they're pushed away, they're harassed, they're attacked. if they don't have a strong core, it's very difficult for all of us, even adults, to substantiate our own self when everybody out there is saying you're stupid or you're whatever, you know, don't care about what other people say. Not so easy. But we can work with that. The core can be protected. And if we give this skill to those young people out there so that when all this stuff happens, they don't end up in that place, which is the place I don't deserve to even be here. And then we're looking at suicide. So we need to start very young to give them the skills to work with their own core. And we need to work back to our own inner bully. It's like in our little kids program, we have a mean fairy and a kind fairy. Yeah? And the mean fairy says all this nasty stuff. And you can just take this metaphor and actually imagine somebody in front of you, harassing you or intimidating you or violating you in some way. So when that person is in front of me and they're saying those things about me, I can say to this mean fairy voice, I can say, ah, I know you. You're the wounded one. No, I am not letting you in. May you be healthy and whole. Now, when you're standing in front of a real bully, you're not going to be saying those things. That's your inside voice. And yet you can say, no, that is so not true about me. And my inside voice will be saying, may you be healthy and whole. We call this hold your power, speak your truth, and come from love. And we can do that with our own voices. So anytime that voice comes in, learn to recognize it. That as it rises up in you, learn to recognize the tone of it, the feel of it. Ah, I recognize you. You're the wounded one. I'm not going to let that in. Anita, may you be healthy and whole. If we can give that compassion to ourselves, we can actually move forward into the world with a stronger core. And we can work on it. We have something we can actually work with instead of this concept of self-esteem. So the inner bully, that's where it starts. When we can do that kind of compassionate work with ourselves, then we can have that compassion for others. I want to talk also a little bit about the bystander because that was raised. And it is absolutely true. The bystander can have a tremendous impact. And yet there's this reality out there. It's almost like we have a culture of, come on, you guys, you have to stand up for your friends. What's wrong with you? You're not man enough. You're not, No, these people, these young people are out there and they're just trying to survive this culture that they're in, which is vicious sometimes. They're afraid they're going to be then the next target of the bully, and it's true. So in our Safeteen program, we use body language, and there's this powerful way that we can stand for our friends that does not put us at risk of being the next person picked on. Body language is 85% of communication. And so if I was to ask one of you to get up, would you do this with me? Both of you, actually. Would you mind doing this with me? Hi, what's your name?
Shirin.
Shirin.
Jackie.
Jackie, thank you so much for getting up. I'm going to have you, Jackie, come over here with me, and we're going to pick on Shirin. Okay? But because your friend's best friend's dog walker's sister's brother told you that she was flirting with your boyfriend at a party, okay? I know, but you're really upset and you're going after because you totally believe this. Now, I've heard it, but I'm like, I don't know, this is a little harsh. So you're going to have to really be mean. Can you do that?
I can try.
All right. Okay, because you guys know each other, so you know it's not real, right?
We just met each other.
Okay, well, we still know it's not real. Okay, so you're going to be like, oh my God, you're such a bitch, you were with my boyfriend on the weekend. Can you do that?
Can I say bitch?
Please do. You can say anything you want. You're the bully, right? Okay. And so we're walking around and it's like, oh my God, there she is. You start there.
Oh my God, there she is. I cannot believe you stole my boyfriend. Can you actually talk to me right now? Because I cannot believe that you actually stole my boyfriend and you have the audacity to stand right here and actually do this to me. I thought I trusted you.
He came up to me.
And he came up to you and flirted with you. Or did you flirt with him? Because that's even worse. Because I think you're a bitch.
Okay, so just freeze it there. Okay. Did either of you sense that I had moved? Sort of. See, it's very subtle, right?
Yeah.
Did you sense it?
Not really, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not really kind of. It's
Yeah.
very subtle, yeah? And yet, because I'm now standing in the middle, and if you continue and you're really harsh, I'm going to just shift my weight a little bit more over here. And now you're all by yourself. I don't have to say a word. Body language is 85%. Do you feel supported with me over here? You do. Thank you. Have a seat.
Thank you.
Yeah, so in the Safeteen program, we have this model, and we use the child, your inner bitch, and your wise woman. The child, we need to keep her safe, and we have an exercise to do that so that vulnerable self isn't exposed when you're in that moment. And then we have our inner bitch, and what we like to say to our inner bitch is, I love you, bitch, thank you very much. That's the person who's going to fight for you if you ever need to fight back. Your bitch is going to come out, and you're going to physically fight for your life. That's who's going to do it. But right now, I don't need you, so back, bitch, back. So we have child safe, we have bitch back, and there's a third persona, and this is not something we're offering them. They already have it, and we call her wise woman. And it's a sense of rising up inside yourself, holding your power, speaking your truth, and if you can, come from love. Wise woman says, no. I said no. I said no. That is so not true about me. I hear you. That's how you feel. It's not true about me. There's no anger and there's no fear. Child is the fear. Bitch is the anger. Wise woman is neutral. She's truly empowered. Just try it. Just try it. It's the most amazing feeling. And sometimes it doesn't work, and that doesn't matter because my core is still intact. I cannot control other people's behaviors. They may continue to do what they're doing, but I have protected my core by holding my power and speaking my truth. And that's in essence, essentially, what we do with those children and those teenagers in the schools. And it's powerful work. It's hands-on, it's experiential. We got tweeted the other day, Safeteen saved my life. You can't even imagine the stories of young people going out there and using these skills and saying, this is how it impacted me, this is how it worked for me. We have people working for us at Safeteen that took it when they were in grade 7 and grade 10. And it's so amazing. You know, the old Jiang thing, this whole thing, it's just such a perfect, almost like cartoon-like example of how our society rises up to protect the potential perpetrator of violence. And it's fascinating to me and very annoying. Why? Well, I can't go into it because I only have 3 minutes. But I'll tell you this, it's pretty evident that it happens. And our fear is, and this is what everybody says, oh my God, over the years, how many times have I heard this? Yes, but it's going to ruin the guy's life. Well, let me just say this. If the guy's innocent, his core is safe. He knows he didn't do it. And all this stuff that's going to go on in the world around him about that, he's going to be fine. Rape and sexual assault, these are soul wounds. Soul wounds. She will never be the same. Thank you, bless you, Lady Gaga, for that song and that video that goes with that song, Until It Happens to You. These are soul wounds. And then she has the courage, and let me tell you, it takes so much courage to stand up and speak the truth about what's happened, because we feel like somehow it's our fault, or that we asked for it in some way, or we're just embarrassed, or whatever. And then we're not believed. And that's a violation on top of the violation. It's devastating. So, default position, choose to believe. Choose to believe. Where's the lesser of the harm? Imagine that we could just choose to believe every time. If it turns out differently, okay. No more women lie about sexual assault or rape than anybody lies about any other crime. That's an FBI statistic, and I've been saying it for years. So Guy says, oh, these people stole my car. Oh yeah? Did you polish it? Did you shine it up? Oh yeah, you left it parked out in front of your house? Yeah, that probably didn't really happen. You're just looking for attention. And they try to make us crazy. That's the first thing they do with women who speak up. They try to make us crazy. They put us in the crazy box. Okay. The piece about somehow feeling that it's our fault. I want you to know if anything like this has ever happened to you, and it's happened to me. It wasn't your fault. Easy to say? Okay. I have the last word on this, okay? I can hardly wait to say it. There's a girl. She goes to a party. She ends up getting really loaded. She dances on the table and she's taken her clothes off. And there's a room full of guys. I don't know how she ended up there, but there she is. And every single man in that room is a good man. What happens to her? Well, they protect her. That's what good men do. Simple. You redo that scenario, same girl, same table, same party, not one good man in the room. What happens to her? She's violated. What's the difference between those two scenarios? The men. So, open your ears and your hearts as much as you can. If there's no rapist in the room, there is no rape. It wasn't your fault. If there's no rapist in the room, there is no rape. Can I ask you to say it with me? It wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. Place your hands on your heart. See if you can take that in. That's the thing that's hardest to root out, that thing that we buy because we live in a patriarchy that somehow we brought this on ourselves. Thank you for listening.